What's up, YouTube? Bobbles and Ball Cards back with another video. Hope everybody is doing well out there. It is Thursday, January 27th, 2022. And what does that mean? That means we are 6 months away from the 42nd National up in Atlantic City. What it also means is we are 6 months removed from the 41st National, which was out in Chicago, the ever so remembered record breaking National, coming out of a time from Hobby Madness of early 2021. So, what I want to do here today, and if you enjoy this content, please hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and comment down below your thoughts and everything. Are you going to the National? Let us know. But yeah, what I want to do today is something I don't ever really do. I don't really use the graphs and stuff, but I wanted to do that today to give visuals and to discuss some market prices, look at some cards over the course of the period of time. And I do not have any kind of affiliate link with this, but I am going to be using Card HEDGER. I do not have the other ones, Card Ladder or Market Movers, because again, I just don't use these very often. But JD over at JD Sports Cards could hook you up with this if you are interested. You can find him on YouTube, Instagram, and or Twitter. He is also in our group on Facebook. So, before I get into the graphs, I want to talk about another part of this. So, these graphs aren't going to show us what's going to happen moving forward. That's obvious. They can only show us what's going on today and give us a visual of how crazy things have been over the past 12 months. And of course, obviously, as I was discussing, 6 months removed from the last National. What has the hobby done? Has it grown? Has it declined? Are prices up? Are prices down? It can kind of give us a visual. It can't tell us what's going to happen tomorrow. It can't tell us what's going to happen in July of 2022. But I was thinking, so we're 6 months away. We're kind of at the halftime, right? Of a year removed from craziness, 6 months removed from National, and 6 months away from next National. 3 months from now is going to be April. What could be some keys to look at in 3 months? And let's split down this 6 month time and see and maybe kind of gauge where we're going to be at going into the 2022 National. So some keys I wrote down, and let me know your thoughts down below. If I missed anything, if I didn't think about something, do you think any of these are going to affect anything? But in April, for the most part, everything that's going on right now sports-wise, these seasons should be ended. I say should be because we never know if things are going to get delayed with the way the world works today. But by April, most part, I believe everything will be coming to an end, or at least getting close to closing out. All of the sports going on right now. Obviously, football should be over. Basketball should be reaching its end point or ending, and then hockey. Baseball should be on the reverse side of that, firing up. But we don't know what's going to be happening, obviously, with the lockout and everything. The other factor that we should be seeing by April, most people will most likely have tax returns. Or, on the flip side, they might be paying taxes. We don't know. But we know first Q of every year, first quarter of every year, that's tax season. And it affects economy one way or the other, whether you're paying or whether you're receiving refunds. So that'll be in there. There will be, this I think could be the biggest one, but that's the new policies with eBay, with this new authentication program. And I'm not going to dive too much into it because I've been so busy, honestly, the past couple of days. I haven't really got to dig into the details. But from what I have seen or read, what little bit of that it has been, um, I am kind of nervous about it. I don't know how it's going to go. And this could have indeed affect how card sales go if it becomes a big headache. But we don't know that yet. It's still too new to put that stamp on it. But it's something to keep an eye on over the course of the next 3 months. Again, strength of economy, that kind of ties in with the tax returns. But it also is going into spring. So does people want to use money that they have, expendable money? Do they want to go on vacation? Or do they want to buy, cards to add to their collection or buy cards to prepare to go to the National? Who knows? But we will be moving into springtime. I mentioned baseball season already. We don't know, is it going to be playing? If baseball's not playing, there's not going to be a whole lot on. So that could be really effective of it. And then another key factor that could help strengthen the hobby a bit is 2021 products. And I know that sounds crazy to say because here we are already almost into February 2022, and there is still a ton of 2021 products that we have not gotten our hands on. So, a lot of the NFL rookies, we're almost to the Super Bowl, and Mac Jones and Lawrence and Fields and those guys, they don't even have like some of their key rookie cards out yet. And that's just crazy to think about. And then, the NBA, what is the NBA? Probably midway to the season almost, a little over midway. And you don't have really any of the rookies for those guys. What do you got? Hoops. So 2021 products could put some excitement back into what has been, kind of a way of bland past many months with product releases. So that'll be interesting as well to see how that goes. So I apologize ahead of time before getting into this. As again, I don't use many of the graphs. I am not a graph professional, but I wanted to use them as visuals and look at some cards to kind of gauge and show a good idea of where things were, where they got to, and where we are today. Basically meaning 1 year ago, then looking at where the hobby was at the time of the 2021 National, and then how have things adjusted since that 2021 National to where we are today. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this, but if I don't explain the graphs too thoroughly or whatever, again, I apologize. I normally do my own data, but I figured this would be much easier on a visual aspect. So here we are with a 2017 Prism Mahomes PSA 10 over the course of 1 year. You can see over here there was mad craziness. That card actually peaked at a price of $15,250. Somebody unloaded the Brinks truck on that bad boy. But you can kind of see that didn't last long. It had a couple 5-figure sales and then it kind of trajected back down. I guess it's still in the 5 figures, over 10 grand. And then right in here, it had another pretty sale of $14,000 in April. But then it immediately went right back down to $11,137. So what I really want to pay attention to isn't necessarily this, because we know all about those peaks and valleys and the craziness of early 2021. What I am more curious of where we were around July 28th of 2021. And that shows that the Mahomes was sitting at $8,500. Again, much lower than that $15,000 sale. But at the National, you should have been able to pick one up for roughly $8,500 or $8,500. And then looking to the right, you can see a straight line going across there. It's a faint black line there. You can see it kind of dipped, had a little ups and downs with dips. Obviously, we know the Chiefs did not start out great this season. They start 3-4. Everybody had wrote Mahomes off. He wasn't the poster child anymore. He had been exposed, this, that, and the other, and now they're sitting in the AFC Championship game, looking like he might approach another Super Bowl. So with that, July 28th, this card was $8,500. Fast forward 6 months, and it's going to cost you $8,200. So you get a slight discount, get a couple $100 discount, but the card is basically exactly where it was right back after, Mahomes' struggles to what it was 6 months prior at the National. So that's good news on Patrick Mahomes. Next card, Luka Doncic 2018 Prism Silver, PSA 10. This card potentially is one of the cards that took the biggest ass whooping out of anything. You go back here, you see January, the Februarys, the Marches. It looks like this card peaked up in March at $9,701. March 14th, again, it's kind of up, down, up, down, up, down, but it's pretty high. I mean, if you look where the graph is all the way to the right and that gap in it, holy jeez, I'm glad my wallet, smacks me in the face if I want to buy something like that, because that is a huge loss. But anyway, again, I want to go look at what happened if you picked one up at the National. So National was July 28th. You would have spent $5,125. So you would have gotten approximately, what was that, $3,000 discount? $4,000 discount. If you had just waited to go get one in person at the National, you would have saved about $4,000 over a peak. So that's a hell of a deal. At that point or so, you would think Luka was the godchild of the NBA, the next face of the league, best player in the league. Invest in Luka. But if you fast forward 6 months, where could you get one today? Well, today that Luka would only cost you $2,950. So almost, again, well, not quite 50% drop, but you would have again lost another $2,000. So the Luka, as I said, and I am not like happy about people losing money. I'm not making a joke of that. This card just seriously though took an ass beating, and many people were skeptical. Luka does have talent. I'm not knocking the kid. I had a lot of questions about his ankle. Obviously, there's been talk he looked like he isn't in shape as people expected. He's on the Dallas Mavericks, who haven't shown any flashes of being really championship contenders. So I just didn't see that he had done enough to condone up here, at 9,000 or even in here at 5,000. So I was one that had some Lukas. I actually owned a PSA 9 Luka Silver. I sold it way before the blow up, just because it's hard for me to put my money into guys such as Luka at such an high value level when they haven't done anything, in my opinion, to condone that value. It's basically, I think people are paying. The best way I could describe it, and I don't know if this will make sense to most, but people compare cards to stock markets a lot of times. So it's almost like paying Amazon price for a startup, reseller website right as it hits the interwebs. People invest in it, but they're paying Amazon price because they expect it to become Amazon one day. Right out of the gate, they're going to pay Amazon stock price on a brand new startup website that you can purchase from. That's kind of what I get with a lot of these ultra modern basketball players and football and stuff too. It's not just basketball, but a lot of the new guys, I feel like people pay the ceiling and wait for the floor. You know, they buy in at the ceiling and then they just sit there and wait because it hasn't hit its floor yet. So I think we're seeing a lot of better judgments when buying into these kind of things. And I have another comparison over here that's very interesting that I want to share with people. But let's get to the next card. The next one is 2011 Trout. It's another card. I think the player is a great player. Trout obviously has more years in the league than in baseball than Luka does in basketball. But his accomplishments overall, and I know championships aren't as important in baseball, but outside of that, you know, he had a couple really, 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 really great years. But the last couple years, he's kind of been on the shelf a bit with injuries. And I think people wanted to crown him king before he ever actually sat down in the throne. He's got to come back and prove that he can stay healthy. You know, every year lost is another year in age. He's not going to play forever. So are we paying a ceiling based on a couple of great seasons versus an overall great career is the question I have with this card. I would not mind owning one. I don't want it in a 10. But I do really enjoy baseball. I do think the card has significance for baseball and the hobby. And I'm not talking trash about Mike Trout. I just don't know that, again, he did enough to put this card to where it got to at one point, which you can see here. According to this graph, it peaked up at $7,750. And again, in my mind, as someone who also enjoys, I collect both ultra modern all the way down to vintage. As someone who collects vintage, if I had $7,000 to spend on a rookie in baseball, I'm probably going to save up a few more bucks and buy me a low grade 51 Bowman mantle. Or I know right now there's a couple 33 Gaudy Babe Ruths on eBay that I could buy at less than $7,700. And when you throw in mantle rookie or 33 Gaudy Ruth, those are much more significant cards to me personally, and those players were much more significant in the hobby personally than Mike Trout. So anyway, but Trout was up at 77.50. As you see, he did decline down. If you happen to buy one at the National last year, it would have cost you, well, right on July 28th, it would have been $3,250. This card, for the most part, has stayed pretty steady. It took a bit of a drop about October. It went down to the 2,800 mark, 2,885. So it did take a little bit of a decline off the 3,200, about $400 dip. But since then, it's stayed pretty consistent. You can pick one up today for $2,900. So overall, even though he hasn't, he didn't play in the baseball offseason, has been going on, and then the lockout, the card has not dropped significantly from the course of time from the last National. It's pretty much hit, I think, what the floor is on it, and it's been pretty steady. So, all right, next card. I threw hockey in here. I wanted to do all of the sports, the four major sports, and at the end of 2020, I was kind of keeping a trajectory on this specific card. Connor McDavid is an amazing young athlete in the sport of hockey. I do not deny that one bit. He is arguably the best young player in the NHL. But again, he doesn't have the championships or anything like that. I don't know if he's going to get them in Edmonton. Every time you think that they have a strong team and that they're playing lights out, they start struggling again. So, with that said, he's still young. He has a great, projection of a career ahead of him. He has amazing talent. His speed and just skill on the ice is incredible. So I'm not taking any of that away from him. He is, the best young rookie to buy. But I don't know that I would spend necessarily the money that some of these have went for. When you could pick up a guy like Ovechkin, who potentially will be a record breaker and a lock for the Hall of Fame. But again, it's terms of judgment of potential versus probability. But anyway, so hockey didn't really have the boom like the other sports had in early 2021. So in January 27th, 2021, you could have picked a PSA 10 up of his young gun for $3,100. And then it kind of stayed up, down in the 3,000 to 3,700 range pretty consistently. If you wanted to buy one at the National in 2021, it actually took a slight dip, which was interesting. It was up here at 31. At the National, it dipped, and there was a couple prices, $26.50. So that was kind of interesting. But then something you notice about this card versus the others I've shared with you, this one actually has went up. So if you would purchase this around the National at $26.50, and then you wanted to sell it today, you're actually going to make about $700. So it's actually a card that has increased in its value. It's more stable now. Like if you look at that line going across there, it's basically selling at what it was a year ago. And then it had dips down in the middle of the summer, which is probably to be expected with the off season and everything. So I don't really think this had much effect on the early 2021 boom or the National or anything like that. I think this is just seasonal prices that we're seeing. You have the pricing of in season, slightly after season. You had a little bit of hobby hype in like March, April, May. But then you have the dips in the summertime, and then it went right back up. Looks like starting in November. So the Mcdavid, strong card to own. The kid's going to have a great career. Just be cautious. I don't know. I'm just skeptical on spending $3,000 on a kid that hasn't really solidified himself as a great one yet. That I guess I should say it that way. He's a great player. He's just, I don't know if he's going to have a solid career. But so far, it looks like he will. All right. This little spaghetti mess is a 6-month period. So I did this just simply from the National where we were to where we are today. July 31st, 2021, going into today. And what I have here, this is all silvers. This is Ja, Zion, Luka, and Tatum. So 2017, 18, and then I have 2 guys from 2019 rookie class, one who has not played, and then obviously one who is playing very well. So where we would have been on August 1st, you see Ja would have been at 1,400. So out of this grouping of 4, he was actually the cheapest because Tatum came in at 2,100. And then then Zion would have been at 3,300 and Luka would have been at 5,125. That would have been back in August 1st of 2021. And now you can kind of see that thing go out of the way. You can see kind of a straight trajectory for the most part on these guys until about right in here, November. They kind of started trajecting down. Now, the one that I want to pay the most attention to would be Ja. Again, he was the cheapest to buy at 1,400. If you come over here to where we are today, Ja would be at 1,631. Now, the reason I wanted to key in on that, he was the cheapest player to buy 6 months ago, and today he's the only one of these four that have increased in value. And that's kind of something I wanted to just speak on, because it doesn't always have to be the highest priced or the highest hyped player that could become the most successful value-wise, based on, either less loss or, in fact, in this scenario at this moment, zero loss, because Ja is the only one that has gained any value, where the other guys actually have, a pretty good loss to them. If you're looking at Luka, he was 51.25, and today Luka is down to 29.50. So he's lost almost 50% of his value. Tatum was at 2,100. He's now at 1,050. So Tatum's lost over 50% of his value. And then, of course, Zion is the outlier here. I'm going to give him a break. He hasn't played, but he was 3,300. And today he's at 1,826. So he's lost about 1,500. Not quite 50% of his value yet. But most of these guys are approaching 50% value loss over the course of the past 6 months, whereas Ja has actually had an increase, and he is the one that started at the least price if you bought him 6 months ago. Another example I had to show this, and this is going to be on a much different scale, but I thought it was interesting. So here is 96 Topps Kobe rookie, 2003 Topps LeBron rookie, and an 86 Fleer PSA 9 Michael Jordan rookie. If you go back 6 months ago, the Jordan would have ran you $28,550, the LeBron would have been $4,050, and the Kobe would have been $2,600. So first, let's look at the Jordan. He was at $28.50. Today, if you bought one, you could get it for $2,700. So the Jordan, you would have lost $1,750 on him. On the LeBron, he was at $4,050, and today he would be at $2,652. So 26, he's at like a $1,400 loss. And then Kobe was at $2,602, and today he is at $1,624. So Kobe is actually at under $1,000 loss. Again, long-term play here. You really probably can't go wrong with any of these guys. Everybody would love a PSA 9 Jordan or a PSA 10 Kobe or a PSA 10 LeBron. I just thought this was interesting after looking at the Prism cards, how Ja was the cheapest, and he's the one that went up. In this scenario as well, Kobe was the cheapest, and he's taken the least loss. So it kind of shows, it's almost like the more you spend, the more risk you have, the more you could lose. And over the past two examples here with the Prism cards and now with even the GOAT cards, the cheaper guy has so far taken the least loss. So that's just something to think about there. If you're looking to buy into any of these players, or if you're a significant purchase across multiple players and you're wondering which one you should buy, first and foremost, buy the one that you like most, but also take into consideration, just on these two examples at least, the cheaper of the available guys actually has held up the best in both scenarios. So it's just something to think about. Again, I hope this helped out. I hope I explained this well. I'll try maybe to start doing more of the graphy type videos. I'm not big on graphs, but I do understand they give visuals for people. They do help explain some things a little bit better. I personally like digging into the research and the values myself, but I don't really know of a site that allows me to do that anymore. So that's another reason why I'm kind of using these. But I don't know if I explained them the best, but I did attempt it, and I hope this all was enjoyable for you. I hope it helped some. Let's go look in another 3 months in April when we are 3 months away from the 2022 National and see where we're at on things. But for now, that is all I have for you today. I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and until the next video, I'm out.